Hello everyone and welcome to the lecture on the calendar module. Python has a module called calendar, and this module allows us to work with dates and present calendars for a month, a year, and so on. This is possible because this calendar module has certain classes like the calendar class, the text calendar, and HTML calendar classes. Because of this and some other classes, we are able to work with dates and present those dates in a nice format. Let's look at how we can use the calendar module. So we'll start by importing the calendar module. So import calendar. And what we'll do next is this module has a text calendar. It has a text calendar class, so we'll call that on our calendar module. So calendar that text calendar, and then we'll pass another attribute, and this attribute will affect how the calendar will be displayed. I'll show you later. I'll show you what I mean. So let's pass the calendar that Sunday attribute. So calendar that Sunday. This basically means when the calendar is displayed, it will start with Sunday. So it will go from Sunday through Saturday. So Sunday will be the first day to be displayed. By default, the day displayed will be Monday. But by passing this calendar that Sunday, the calendar will display Sunday. Okay, and let's save this in a variable called cal for calendar. And what we'll do next is we'll call the prmonths method on our calendar. So calendar that prmonths, and we'll pass the year. So the prmonths accepts the year and the months of the calendar to be displayed. For instance, let's say we want to display the calendar for December 2016. So this will produce a nice output for the month of December 2016. Let's run it and see. So when we run it, we have a calendar for December 2016. You see here the dates. So the day starts with Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and so on for the whole month of December. So if we didn't pass the Sunday, by default it starts with Monday. So let me copy that and show you. Paste it here. So we'll remove this calendar that Sunday, and then we'll call the prmonths on our calendar object and pass the year and month we want to display. So by default, the days start from Monday. So this is the European style, and this is the American style, starting with Sunday. I won't go into the details, but the HTML calendar, this class, the HTML calendar class, allows us to get a nicely formatted output. Okay, so by using this method, we can display any month that we like. If we want to change this to, let's say, 10/2016, so October 2016, the calendar looked like this. We can even see future months. So 2017, October 2017, the calendar looks like this. So again, this is the European style. Next, let's see how we can print out the calendar for an entire year. So we'll try to print out the calendar for the entire year of 2016 or 2017, it doesn't matter. Okay, let's do that. So the first thing we'll do is configure when the days will start. So let's use the American style so that it starts on Sunday. Each month starts on Sunday. That's what I mean. So we have our calendar module, and then we'll call the calendar method and then pass the calendar that Sunday attribute, so that each of the months start with Sunday. So when they are displayed, they will be displayed in this format. And let's save this in some variable. Let's say calendar, cal for calendar. And what we'll do next is there's a method known as year days to calendar. Let me write it down. Year days to calendar. So what this method does is it will produce a list of months rows. So we'll have months rows as a list or sequence. So calling this method on our calendar object here will produce a list of months as a row. So depending on how we configure it, it will display the months as rows, and one row can contain 2 or 3 months depending on how we configure it. And each month will contain a list of weeks. Okay, and each month will have a list of weeks, and each of the weeks will have the dates of that month, of that week. Okay, and that will be in tuples. So calling this year days to calendar method will give us the month rows, and each of the month rows, so these are in list, and each of this list will have another list of weeks. Okay, and this weeks will contain days from Sunday to Saturday, and they will be numbered from 0 to 6. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So on our calendar object, we'll call the year days to calendar method. So year days to calendar, and then we'll pass the year. So we'll pass 2016. We want to see the calendar for the entire year 2016, and the number of rows we want to display for our months. So how many months do we want to see in one row? Let's see, let's start with 3. So we can display 1, 2, 3 months in one row. And let's save this in another variable called calendar all, or calendar year, or calendar 2016. I think that's a better representation. Okay, calendar 2016. What we'll do next is we'll call another method known as the Pprint method. There's also a module known as Pprint. It stands for pretty print. So pretty print. So there's a module and also a function by this name. So what this method does is that it produces a nice representation of our data by formatting the data. So the interpreter parses the data and gives us a nice formatted representation of our calendar data. so that when it's displayed, it's much more readable for us versus the regular print. Okay, let's do that. So there's a module called Pprint, and then we'll be using the Pprint method. So let's import the module, import Pprint, otherwise we'll get an error. Okay, now that we have imported the Pprint module, we'll call the Pprint method, and then we'll pass our calendar 2016 object here. So calendar 2016. Now if we run this, we get, so this is what we'll get using the Pprint method. So we have 1 month here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 12 months. As I said earlier, the year days to calendar gives us a list of months. So we specified 3 months in one row, right? So that will be this. So that's one row. This is another one, and then we have 2 more like that, up to here, the 3rd one and the last one. And each of the months, we mentioned that each of the months have a list of weeks, right? So that will be 1 week, 2 week, 2 weeks, the 2nd week, and so on. And each of the weeks will have dates as tuples. So that's the result by using the pprint function. You see how nicely formatted it is? What do you think will happen if we try to use the normal print function? So if we try to print, let's say calendar 2016, you see what we got here? This is not nicely formatted. We don't know what this is. I mean, it's not a nice representation. We have to dig much deeper to make sense of this data, right? And compare this with our pprint function, our pprint method. So it formats the data that's presented to it. So that's what the interpreter does. It nicely parses the given data and presents it in a nice format. So it's more readable for us, right? It's more presentable. So that's the pprint function. So we'll continue our discussion in the next lecture. Thank you, everyone.